that what we are now? Are we gamification nation?
You know, it's interesting, Scott. I think we are moving towards that because we need something that can elicit some joy, some positive perspective into our brains. And when you're gamified, it's very clear. The research says that, you know, your brain lights up in particular ways that it doesn't when you're not gamified. So it's a seductive, from a consumer perspective, a very seductive feeling to be in that mode of actually playing a game. And it has all kinds of implications with respect to in behaviors.
Feels like it's all around us now. Lizzie, the question is has it gone too far?
I don't know if we can figure out if it's gone too far until we've reached the end of the pandemic, because I'm not underrating the appeal of fun. I did a story on GameStop and Wall Street Bets and the subreddit, and I talked to this dad in Arizona who was trading on Robinhood, and he said, look, I've been locked in my house for a year and I'm bored. This is why I'm doing this. So I think we might have to see how we are after we come out of this, and sort of enough people have been vaccinated to know if we're clearly tipping over into, you know, complete gamification.
No, I don't know if we're going to be able, Dr. Reed, to kick the habit. That's what this seems to be. It sounds like you're saying as well, we're kind of looking for instant gratification as a society.
Yeah, instant gratification is the name of the game. I think the problem becomes, you know, when you're trying to think about, is this good or bad? You're thinking about, well, you know, if we open up casinos, we'll get more money, we'll get tax revenues. So there's a positive side to that in terms of putting money into the economy. But there is kind of a psychological side in this notion of habit, addiction, and perhaps individuals getting involved in gambling and things that aren't really good for them. And so, you know, optimizing around the moral calculus around, you know, should gamification in casinos and all this kind of stuff be going on is a pretty complex and deep question.
Yeah. Lizzie, I've got GameStop mania. I mentioned how many times that thing was halted today in and of itself in a single day. Now we're talking about NFTs. We're paying large sums of money for digital highlights of basketball players. What is going on with us?
I may be too old to understand the NFT appeal. Like, I was trying to, like, do I want this non-existent thing that an artist has created or that Jack Dorsey is trying to sell me for his tweet? I don't think so. But you know, people are willing to buy it. There is, I think, as Dr. Reed is saying, like, there's a market for everything at this point. I would say on the casino thing, though, there's some question about whether that revenue is long-term a good thing. States that have gotten casinos have seen short-term revenue boosts, but they don't tend to see them in the long-term kind of flow of their revenues.
Dr. Reed, you know better than most. You're a marketing guy. You got to give people what they want, right? 70% of New Yorkers support the casino expansion amid COVID. And as you said, states and local governments are hurting so bad. They're getting $350 billion out of the stimulus plan. That's a pretty decent way to raise some revenue real quick from casinos in your backyard.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's an interesting analysis if you dive into it a little bit more with more nuance. I mean, there was an interesting article in the New York Post by Pat Smith who made the argument that one way to deal with the problem of, you know, is this good for society, is to really create a market for super high-end luxury casinos, whereby the folks who come in pay a ton of money to sit at the table and gamble. But it's kind of like a luxury sort of a thing where the everyday man and woman is not invited. But these rich folks, you can bring them in and let them play and take their money. And they're probably going to be a little less hurt, you know, in terms of any bad impacts that losses might have on their world. And so there's interesting ways to think about how you might try to handle the moral side of this. And I think we're going to see a lot of this sort of questions being asked from a gamification point of view.